every time you and I are with each other, we kind of beat that topic of race because of different races. We're from a different generation,
Yeah.
and we are like that.
Yeah. Well, I think you said the right thing is people are people, and there are white people with whom one would prefer not to associate with, and there are black people one would prefer not to associate with, and of course, Kid Rock, no, Chris Rock, had that famous routine.
That's right.
I love black people and I hate and so forth, which is correct, and I think we all feel that way. I think what has happened in the United States is in the old days, back when 30s and 40s, when I was a kid, there was you could say the African Americans didn't have the same access to everything that they you could argue that they were still being held back, had limited access to certain jobs, although there were major exceptions, and it was the U.S. military that was really the point of the spear that caused racial or facilitated racial blending and integration in the United States. But I just remember my time in the Marine Corps in the 50s, where in my platoon when I was in boot camp, roughly 20% of the recruits, so it was like 15, 16 out of a total count of 80, were African Americans, and nobody had any problems with anybody. We were just all Marines. We were all suffering under the same pressures. We all helped each other out whenever we can. And I think that's the natural tendency of most people. If you leave them alone, unless you have, there's always the outliers who are white supremacists or black power advocates who hate all white people. Leave those out. They don't matter.
Right.
You take a broad band of normal people, put them in a normal environment, and let them interact without anybody watching. They're going to get along, and they're going to cooperate. What I think has happened, and you and I have talked about this, the black victimhood leaders, and we know who they are.
Yeah. We've had those discussions.
Have fomented an environment where they encourage African Americans to blame white people for everything that goes wrong, and to create this sort of paranoia of they've got this closed system and they're not going to let us in, and so we can't succeed. And since we can't succeed, why even bother to try? I won't do my homework. I'm not going to be like the white kids sitting at home doing my homework. I'm just not going to do it because Whitey won't let me succeed anyway. The Reverend tells me that. And this is so wrong that these people are destroying hope. The message that they should be relaying is the Dr. Ben Carter message, which is if you work hard and if you strive and if you have a dream and you pursue it and keep yourself out of trouble, you will succeed regardless of your race. Is it tougher than it is for white people? Yeah, probably, but it's not as tough as it was 20 years ago or 30 years ago or 40 years ago.